This week on my tool review series, I want to show you my Jet 8-inch helical head joiner. If you enjoy what you've seen in this video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You know, I work to make these videos and I hope that you enjoy them and I hope that you're blessed when you see them. Please continue watching. I have a bunch of videos coming out after this one that continue to show all the different tools in my shop, and I hope that you'll enjoy those. Well, this one's a pretty fun story for me. Because the way I got this joiner, at least the way that I picked it up, is probably one of the more interesting parts of the story. And where I got it from was just total luck, really, or good fortune, or sovereignty, or however you want to look at that. But here's the thing. I was looking for a joiner, and for those of you that watch the channel, you'll hear me talk often about a lot of the shops that I've worked in the past. And so I've worked in some pretty big cabinet shops and woodworking shops that have like all the best tools that there can be, like stuff even way bigger than what this joiner is. But when I started looking for a joiner, there was this technology that had come out a few years before that with this kind of a spiral or helical head type of technology and these new machines. And all I had ever worked on my whole life was straight knife machines, whether that be a joiner or a planer. And so I really didn't know much about them. So I was still in the research phase when I was looking for a machine. Well, like a lot of people, of course, I get on the internet and I poke around and I try to see where the best deals are at. And so I was looking Craigslist, and actually at that time, it was only a few years ago, but Facebook Marketplace was not really a big deal then. And I also went to eBay. And I found on eBay an outlet store, and this outlet store was out of Lebanon, Tennessee, which is just above, just right on that border, that northern border of Tennessee as you go south through Kentucky. And this happened to come up in one of their auctions, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it. At first I saw the description, and I looked at it, and the price was dirt cheap. You know, the starting bids always are. And it was only sitting at like about $100. And I thought, well, I guess we'll see where this goes. So I put it in my cart and I kept watching it. And I kept going back to the ad. And actually, the helical head in it was not the first thing that I saw when I looked at the ad. The first thing I saw was just that it was an 8-inch Jet joiner. And I knew that Jet was a pretty good brand. And so I was a little excited about that. But then I found out it was a helical head. And then I got like really excited about it to see what would happen. Well, it got to the last day of the bidding, and the bids kept going up, of course, from 200 to 300 to 400 to 500. And this was a machine that, of course, brand new was like $2,000. And so and it was brand new in the box. And so I was more than willing to spend a fair amount to get a good joiner. Well, the auction hit about $700, and it seemed to stall there for a little bit. And I was the high bidder on it. And I thought, there's no way this thing is going to go for that. I mean, it's brand new in the box. It's got a helical head. And it ended up going for about $750. So I got this joiner at an auction on eBay, brand new in the box, for about $750. Well, at the time, I had a small shop and a 2-car garage. And I didn't have a truck at the time, and so I think I was driving a Buick Regal at the time, and obviously it's not, I mean, it's a big trunk, but this isn't going to fit in it. And so I decided that I needed to find a way to get it home. So I thought, what should I do? Should I rent a truck? Should I ask a friend to borrow their truck? Who do I know with something that could move this? And I tried every avenue I could, and none of my friends were willing to borrow me their trucks. You know, some friends, huh? And I figured that a Penske truck or a U-Haul or whatever, or the Home Depot truck would just be too expensive to go where I needed to go. After all, it was only a day trip for where I live. And so ultimately what ended up happening is there was a place that I was working. I was actually supervising at this place at the time. And one of the guys that worked there drove to work every day in one of those passenger van type of trucks, you know, the enclosed, like an E-Series Ford kind of truck. And I went and tapped him on the shoulder and explained my situation to him. And after he decided that he wanted to copy my driver's license and you know, take my blood and have my firstborn child. He decided that he would borrow me his van for a day to go pick up this joiner, and so that's what I did. I went down there, and it was really cool, which I thought was odd because, like, he's a single guy. Like, was it a creeper van? I don't know, but he borrowed me the van, and I drove it all the way down there, picked up the joiner without a problem. The hardest part was actually getting it out of the van, because it is a fairly heavy machine, and into my shop. But then I got it home and I got it all set up, and I refilled his tank for him all the way to full, and I returned the van. I was very thankful for his graciousness in being able to do that. I mean, that's a rare person that does that, and so I was very thankful that he borrowed me the van, and that's how I got the joiner in my shop. Let's talk about another couple things that I do in these videos, which is to just give you a quick general tool review, and then we'll see it working, and then we'll just conclude with a couple thoughts on woodworking and why you might want to have one of these tools. All right, now when you're looking for a new tool, there are always a few things that you want to look at, and this kind of machine is no exception. And what you want to look at are giveaways that perhaps the machine has been abused or heavily used throughout its lifetime, and there's a few things that are dead giveaways for that. In shops that are used a lot, it's really not uncommon to find dents and dings, chips of paint taken off around the edges of machines and things like that. And so you want to inspect the cabinet, and you want to inspect some of these parts around the machine to see if any of that has happened. On joiners especially, you have to see if the guard works. Does the guard return? Sorry about that. You put a piece of tape or something under there, or raise this up a little bit. You have to see if there's been any abuse or anything like that on those things. If the guard has all kinds of chips and nicks out of it, or it's heavily dented, you can tell that perhaps they've put wood on this that is bigger than what it can handle, or something like that. And things like that, if it's constantly done, can affect bed alignment and stuff like that, which can cause you all kinds of headaches later on in life. Also, if you're looking to get a joiner, one of the things you want to do is bring a square with you. And you want to check to see if the fence and the bed are square, and if they stay square. So if it's in alignment, which most joiners are, and your square is running true and perfect on it, then you're good to go. But what you want to do is you want to put the square on it, and then you want to see if there's any rock, or if there's anything on it that seems like it could move, anything like that. Other things you want to look for, and this is one of my pet peeves, and you're going to hear this in every video I do probably about, because most tops are cast iron. And if you see rings from cups and stuff like that on it, it means someone's been way too casual with the machine. They've been setting their cups on there. These machines are for working, they're not for taking a break on. And so those are kind of giveaways to see about the overall treatment of the tool. The other things that you want to look at is to take the back covers off, to look at the belts on the machine, see if there's any cracks or anything, which isn't a deal breaker, but it will tell you if you're going to spend a couple bucks on the belts and stuff like that. Now I want to show you on a helical head specifically for this machine what you want to look at. I've zoomed in on this so you can see this. Now on all helical head type machines, you're going to have some kind of marker or indicator to show which direction the knives are going. And one of the most important questions you want to ask is, have you rotated the knives on these, and if so, how much have they been rotated? And as you can see on almost all of these, the indicator is the same. Like that one's been turned, otherwise they're the same, because this one hit a nail at some point, and you can actually see when you look at the knife what got hit right there, and then it was rotated. But most of these knives are all the same. There's another one that's been rotated before I speak again. But really on this particular cutter head, there's only a couple of knives that have been turned. I've had this machine for about 4.5 years. I've never had to rotate the knives but those couple that hit a nail once, and so these are all still in its really first set, and you can rotate them 3 more times. So this machine has several years of life still left in it, and that's one of the most important things you want to look at. Also on helical heads, something that you want to look for is to see if there's any kind of damage in any of the tooling on the head that you're looking at. You want to look on the inside here. You know, this is normal wear, but you want to see if there's any weird chips or nicks or anything like that that is inside of the blade itself. If there is, again, it's a giveaway that something might have been run through it that shouldn't have been run through it. And I know that I'm going to get the safety Nazis on the video talking about, why are you doing this with your bare hands? Well, the machine is unplugged, It's not going to come up and bite me or anything like that. And as you can see, I'm paying close attention not to touch the actual knives. So there you have it. But those are things that you want to look at on a helical head specifically to make sure that you're getting a good deal. This one would be a good deal. Well, let's go ahead and see this machine work here. I'm going to show you the piece of wood that I'm going to use to do it. Here it is. We're going to use a piece of hickory, which is one of the hardest hardwoods that grows in North America. So that would be a good test for our helical head. As we look down it, you can see it's already fairly straight. I mean, it's got a little crook, little bow to it. But we're going to straighten that right out in just a second. Well, there you have it working. As you saw in the video I just showed you how straight and clean it is able to join a board, and I want to show you just exactly what a joiner is best at, and specifically this joiner right here. And that's taking two pieces of wood and putting them together. So I'm going to show you another piece of wood that I joined an edge on. Let's put those together and you'll see why this is such a valuable tool. Here's the two pieces that we're looking to join. Now, I haven't planed these, so one side of each of these is a little rough, so keep that in mind. But I want to show you here, let's zoom in. There's the two pieces right there. Perfectly aligned together. See that beautiful seam all the way down. So that's what the joiner does. If you're in the market for a joiner and they let you test it and it can't do something like that, then you might want to consider if this joiner is worth buying or not. Most joiners do have what you can call spring compensation, meaning that you can get the joiner to join that board slightly bowed one way or the other. And for some woodworkers that is a preference. Now, I like perfectly straight joints in everything that I do. I've never been a massive fan of the spring joint, although I do see its value. This video is not to get into depth in those sorts of things. But those are the things that you need to know about looking for a joiner. So if you go back and you look to one of my previous videos that I've done before this tool shop series, I had a video of me installing a 16-inch helical head in a 100-year-old joiner. So guess what? By the time you watch this video, this joiner is already sold. I said when I got the other joiner all fine-tuned and working perfectly that I was going to list this one for sale, and that's what I've done. And guess what, folks? In less than 24 hours, I sold that 8-inch joiner. It is a fantastic machine. And this particular Jet 8-inch helical head joiner, well, that's a mouthful, say that 10 times fast. This particular joiner is one of the best joiners I have ever used. It has made the most perfectly straight joints for furniture building and other things that I've ever had. And so I'll be sad to see it go, but I don't need two joiners in my shop, and so this one did have to go. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It's a joy making these videos for you all. And I hope that our community comes together on YouTube and we all can learn things from each other as we journey through this woodworking life together. All right, guys, bless you. See you later.